to another episode of Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died and he rose again. Just going to get into it. So I saw this story by Basketball Network, okay? They had an article that said 6 NBA stars who reported to training camp out of shape after their off season. Okay. And so it was an article about the 6 most memorable examples of stars who showed up badly out of shape. Okay. I've talked about this one before. Shawn Kemp's 35-pound lockout surprise. Okay. Shawn Kemp actually came into the 1999 season, the lockout season, 35 pounds overweight. Okay. With the added weight, Kemp lost his signature explosiveness and hang times when the Rain Man never fully delivered in Cleveland. Coach Mike Fratello remembered Kemp's honesty about it, saying the All-Star admitted, "I didn't think we were coming back during the lockout." So at least Shawn Kemp was honest. Okay. So yeah, I just read the story where Shawn Kemp got sentenced in that incident that he had. I meant to have some thoughts on that in my last video, but I didn't get hit to it. And I would just say God is good. Okay. God is good. And I just hope Shawn Kemp makes the most of this second chance that he has been given. Okay. Shawn, I'm praying for you. I'm rooting for you. And I pray you make the most of this second chance that has been given to you. And so I pray for you and I'm rooting for you. All right. Okay. So Lamar Odom. Okay. This is a memory right here. I didn't even know he came back to the Clippers in 2012, but he came into Clippers camp in 2012 out of shape and unrecognizable. He shocked coaches and teammates. Reports said he was about 30 pounds overweight, a far cry from the versatile forward. Had been one of the league's most skilled bigs. Okay. Eddie Curry's back to weight issues. So it was reported while Eddie Curry was with the Knicks. He showed up at training camp approaching 400 pounds. Yeah, 400 pounds. Poor conditioning limited his impact on the floor, and the whispers about his work ethic grew louder. To his credit, Curry later, he actually lost 100 pounds. Okay? In an effort to revive his career, eventually making a short-lived comeback in 2012. Still, the mid-career narrative stuck. The weight problems kept him from being the player many thought he could have been. Rasheed Wallace with a dad bod. Okay. So he played half a season with the Celtics. Okay. Yeah, so he played half a season with the Celtics. So when he joined the Celtics, he wasn't in shape. Broadcasters speculated that his body fat had climbed noticeably during the summer, and his conditioning concerns were raised even before he suited up. Okay. No. It's correct. That was actually in 2010. Yeah, that was actually in 2010 because when they went back to the finals, they played the Lakers, and Rasheed Wallace played in that series. Yeah, so that was 2010. Okay, yeah. So yeah, Rasheed Wallace, James Harden, we all know, never in the greatest shape. Um, by the way, did y'all see that off-season photo of Debo Samuel for the Washington Redskins? Okay, I still call them Redskins. Did y'all see that photo of Debo Samuel for the Washington Redskins? Do y'all see how fat Debo Samuel looked? Yeah, yeah. So those are six NBA stars: James Harden, Rasheed Wallace, Eddie Curry, Lamar Odom, um, Sean Kemp. Oh, there's one more. Okay, Kemp, Lamar Odom, two, Eddie Curry, three, Rasheed Wallace, four, James Harden, five. So there's one more. Baron Davis. Oh yeah. Um, when he came to the Clippers in 2011, Baron Davis was overweight. Okay. Um, there were reports that said he was overweight and visibly slower. Um, he had injury problems on top of that too, right? Okay. And so oh yeah. I would say in the 1999 NBA lockout, more players showed up to training camp out of shape. Okay. Um, um, Patrick Ewing was one. Dennis Scott, Bryant Reeves, Shaquille O'Neal um, were just some notable players who showed up to camp out of shape. There were a few players who showed up in shape. Kobe Bryant showed up to the lockout training camp in shape. Allen Houston, Larry Johnson showed up and they were in shape. So yeah. Speaking of the New York Knicks, um, the New York Knicks hated Don Nelson. Okay, the New York Knicks hated Don Nelson, and he was brought in after Pat Riley resigned. Okay, he was brought in when Pat Riley resigned, and he had some weird things going on with that team. Um, Anthony Mason was averaging 44 minutes a game. Okay, and he wanted Anthony Mason to be the initiator of the offense. Okay. So just weird things like that. Okay. And so it was, I would say, according to what I read, okay, um, the fallout between Don Nelson and the Knicks began when he benched John Starks. He basically benched John Starks, okay? And Starks hated Don Nelson, okay, because he benched John Starks, then he was limiting John Starks' playing time too. He was only averaging about 12 minutes a game, okay? And then Don Nelson famously said that Hubert Davis, he said Hubert Davis was a better player than John Starks. Okay. Hubert Davis was a better player than John Starks. Those were Don Nelson's words. Okay. Hubert Davis is a better basketball player than John Starks. But I think what really got him into trouble is when he wanted to trade Patrick Ewing. That's what really got him in trouble. And he actually thought that Patrick Ewing would not find out about it. Don Nelson wanted to trade Patrick Ewing, and he thought Ewing would not find out about it. Now, he actually met with Dave Checketts, okay? And Dave Checketts was like, no, okay? James Dolan, one of the owners of the Knicks, yes, that same James Dolan. He went to James Dolan and said, hey, I want to trade Patrick Ewing. And he's like, no. And he actually believed that Patrick Ewing would not find out about it. Well, eventually he did, and that was the final straw. And that's when Jeff Van Gundy was hired as coach. Okay. And it's kind of interesting because they started the season 10-2. The 96 Knicks. They actually started out the season 10-2. Okay. But there was the ascension going on between Nelson and the players. There were trade rumors involving Starks, Charles Smith, who eventually got traded to the San Antonio Spurs during the season. Okay, there were trade rumors involving Starks, Smith, and Oakley. And of course, the fact that he benched John Starks. He tried to trade Patrick Ewing. All led up to his dismissal. Okay. And one of Van Gundy's first game was against the Philadelphia 76ers, where they lost to the Philadelphia 76ers. However, Jeff Van Gundy's second game was against the Chicago Bulls, who came into the game at 54-6. And I still remember watching that game. I remember that game to this day. The Bulls got the doors. The Bulls got crushed. The worst loss of the season. Probably the worst loss of the Jordan era. They lost 104-72 to the Knicks. I remember that game. The Bulls lost 104-72 to the New York Knicks. And we all came, and everybody came into the school the next day saying, the Bulls are sorry. The Bulls are sorry. Everybody saw them get blown out 104-72 on the national television, right? Okay. But yeah, so the Knicks hated John Stark. The Knicks hated John Starks. The Knicks hated Don Nelson, right? And 6 NBA stars who were out of shape, who came into camp out of shape. I just thought those were some interesting topics to discuss, okay? All right, that's it. And that's all for Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am out of here. Peace out. Peace out.